that. I assume his brain is cognitively fine and he can undergo all of the decisions that a king would make and go through the paperwork that he needs to do on a daily basis without any interference from the cancer itself or the treatment.
So it might be more about keeping him in one place and not complicating that. Anything that he could do remotely, he can still handle. It's more perhaps about the traveling from point A to point B, showing up and giving any kind of public addresses, that kind of thing. I was wondering if, appearance-wise, thinking about cancer treatments, would he be recommended something where there could be hair loss or something else that would, that would impact the image of King Charles that we're used to?
Yeah, the type of radiation he's going to get is, I mean, assuming it's radiation, is confined to the prostate area. So there's no hair loss.
Got it.
There's no visible anything with regard to that, which is good. And again, the outcome is generally very positive. The radiation, it's the same hardware that we've used for decades, but the software has gotten dramatically better to now to be three-dimensional. So you don't have damage to the rectum, which is right next to the prostate, or any of the organs around it. You can really get an efficient, effective dose into the prostate and be very well tolerated.
One imagines the blush that the palace feels in the discussion of all these intimate details of that particular part of the body as well. Dr. Agus, let's pause this conversation for a second. I want to go back to Ramy Inocencio, our reporter in London, who's been gathering more information from his sources and from the reporting there in the United Kingdom. Ramy, if we have you been able to learn anything more about the king's state of mind, his condition, and what comes next?
No, we still have not heard anything other than the official statement from Buckingham Palace. What I can tell you is, just crossing the wires right now, is that Prince Harry, according to a source close to him, says that the Duke of Sussex has spoken with King Charles directly about this new cancer diagnosis and will be traveling here to the United Kingdom to see him in the coming days. We also know that the king told his sons personally, both William and Harry, and then he told his siblings after. But this is the latest line that, at least family-wise, the family is coming together and is going to see King Charles during this difficult time.
Ramy, just remind us, what is the latest in terms of the relationship of the king with Harry? I mean, I know, of course, it has been fractured with the royal family, but what is the latest?
Right. Well, this is, I suppose, an opening, a little bit of a warming, as one might expect when such issues, such difficult issues, difficult health issues happen in any family, right? What we've been seeing with the king is that he has been breaking with past protocol of the monarchy. For example, when he first underwent his treatment for this enlarged prostate, he went public, and a lot of people paused and a lot of eyebrows were raised. But then with this, he is going public with this diagnosis of cancer also, according to the statement, in the hopes that other people will also get checked, and also to prevent speculation and to assist, in the words of Buckingham Palace, public understanding for anyone around the world who might be facing this. So in terms of the situation, the relationship with King Charles and his son, this shows right now that Prince Harry is going to get on a plane very soon and is going to come to his father's side.
One would imagine the public, too, will thank the transparency and the fact that they have come forward and revealed both the initial treatment and what is happening now with this diagnosis.
Yeah, I mean, a couple readings on the Prince Harry thing. It could be a sign of the family coming together. It could be a sign of
something serious.
Of something very serious. We just don't know at this hour. One also wonders about the role of psychology. Treatment, as I'm sure Dr. Agus would support, is a matter of the science and the medicine, but also the personal state of mind. Those things have to meet at a certain point. We've got a king here, 75 years old, who waited longer than any monarch to assume this role and has been hit with family difficulties and now this health difficulty. And he's got to remain in the fight. And the British are famous for it, so I think he'll be fine. Ramy Inocencio and Dr. David Agus, Thank you very much for telling us what you could at this early hour. For our viewers, please stay with us. We're going to take a quick break right now. You are watching CBS News.
Well, let me start with this.
This really
Have you told the government?
Did any of that make sense?
What's your response?
You want me to just
What's
keep
wrong
going?
with that argument?
What have you
Do
learned?
you know why?
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 It's time for 60 Minutes, Sunday on CBS.
An original documentary from CBS Reports.
Since you started La Soup in 2014, do you have any sense as to how much food you've rescued from the landfill?
We've rescued 4.5 million pounds.
I can't even fathom how much food that is.
And that's one little person in one little city in America. We're going to call this chicken piccata. We did 450 of these meals today.
This is the exact dish
That
you and
we
I are going to
just-
have.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Is it good? Mm-hmm. Having a plan of how to keep people fed should be in every single city.
So if we eliminated food waste, could we eliminate
Hunger, yes.
Eating Trash, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
At this moment, terrorists could be plotting another attack.
9/11 triggered a counter-terrorist system that included a secret database.
This person needs a closer look.
A growing list of nearly 2 million people, including some Americans who say they're innocent.
For 1 hour flight, I have to spend 6 hours to go and come back.
CBS Reports explores the system, the people responsible for it, and those pushing for change.
I'm not fighting against them. I'm fighting for them to do the right thing.
The Watch List, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
He was there when the war in Ukraine started.
Extreme history. It's a big moment.
The extraordinary story behind Sean Penn's new Paramount Plus documentary, Superpower, when we go person to person.
An original documentary from CBS Reports.
AI is among the most world-changing technologies ever.
Curing diseases, scientific breakthroughs, making lives better.
They can help us with medical discoveries, scientific discoveries, doing better agriculture, having cures for things like Alzheimer's.
It's also going to really transform the way we work.
The uplifting potential of artificial intelligence is limitless.
It gives you a friend, somebody to chat with 24/7 that is non-judgmental. He makes me feel loved and desired.
And so are its downfalls.
The problem with all this AI is that it's unpredictable and uncontrollable.
The choices we make now will have lasting effects for decades, maybe even centuries.
The ChatGPT revolution, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
It's like a screenplay, something straight out of Hollywood.
Human remains found this week.
The mystery would haunt investigators for years.
A gripping true crime original, 48 Hours, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
How can we become our best selves? That may be more about character than talent.
The ultimate mark of your potential is how far you've climbed, not how high you've gone.
Realizing your true potential with Adam Grant as we go person to person.
What an afternoon. We're following breaking news. King Charles III diagnosed with cancer.
Buckingham Palace says the British monarch is postponing all public-facing engagements until further notice. King Charles returned home from the hospital just 1 week ago, as you might remember, after being treated for an enlarged prostate, something they called benign at the time. Buckingham Palace says, quote, a separate issue of concern was noted during that procedure. CBS News medical contributor Dr. David Agus is with us now. Dr. Agus, let's talk about, first, what does that procedure entail, the benign one that they did for the enlarged prostate, for those who are just joining us now, and how would you discover another type of cancer or discover that it is, in fact, prostate cancer, and are there different kinds of prostate cancer? Just talk to us a little bit about the risks here, too.
Thank you, Lilia. I think first what Tony alluded to a few minutes ago, I think is very accurate, is that this is a new palace that is talking about medical conditions, is open with them and becoming, in a sense, aspirational role models for others, normalizing the medical conditions. And I applaud them for that. So men, over time, the prostate gets larger as we get older. We don't necessarily know the mechanism of that, but it happens in most men. If it enlarges where the bladder outlet is, called your urethra, and presses on it, it's very difficult to empty your bladder, and urine dysfunction can happen. So the oldest known surgical procedure to man is done, which is they go in and they do essentially a roto-rooter, which is they clear out that channel to enable the efficient outlet of urine from the bladder outside through the penis. And when that happens, there normally is a very good recovery. When they do that, little pieces of tissue are taken out and they're looked at under the microscope. Most of the time they're benign, that is, there's no cancer there, but in some cases there can be cancer. And what it appears in this situation, reading into the press releases, again, I don't know the exact details, but that there was some cancer in that tissue. When we have prostate cancer, we grade it, called a Gleason score, and it tells you how aggressive the cancer is. That's a key number to understand the outcome associated with the king's cancer.
And then the king postponing public-facing appearances, however, continuing the duty of state with the paperwork behind the scenes between Parliament and his offices. That tells us, it would seem, that he is of a strong state of mind, but something about his treatment is, well, what might be the reason why doctors would advise a person undergoing his type of treatment not to appear in a public role?
Well, I think let's shift back and say, what would the treatment be if it was radiation? The standard treatment is called IMRT, intensity modulated radiation therapy. It's given every day. You normally have to go in for about an hour for the procedure. And then the main side effects are irritation causing frequent urination, and it could cause some fatigue toward the end of the treatment period. And so most of the time, people can go out in public with this. There may be reasons where he wants to keep this private. His brain or his cognitive function should be normal and unaffected, so he should be able to do all of the duties that a king does. But I don't know the exact details why they would say he will have no public facing. I think in most cases, it's so he can use all of his energy to fight this cancer. Cancer is a war, and the war can have a very good outcome, but it is a war.
Well, Dr. Agus, that brings me to my final question, which is about the BBC being told that Prince Harry, who's been living in California with his wife Meghan Markle and their children, and is out of the royal family in terms of official duties, he is flying back to see his father, and they have spoken. But the fact that he's flying back, obviously a lot of goes into a personal calculation like that, but it also raises the question of, is he flying back because this is in fact serious? Mm-hmm. If you were calling family members or advising a family about this type of diagnosis, is flying back across the world the kind of thing you would say, yeah, get on a plane?
I think that cancer, again, is a fight where you need all of your faculties to fight, including your family, to be a part of it. And so including the family in the treatment decisions and the treatment for a cancer is something that is very common. And I can't read into it any further than that. I don't have any information that is more serious. But I do think including all of the family in the decision makes some sense.
All right.
If you can, why not? I'm sure is part of what he's calculating. But thank you so much, Dr. David Agus.
Really appreciate it. No one better.
We are going to join the BBC's coverage now. They have ongoing reporting on this and see if we can learn a little bit more about what they are learning about the king's diagnosis.
He looks forward to returning to full public duty as soon as possible. And, clearly from all that we're hearing, hopefully the cancer has been caught, quickly. One would hope the treatment is going to be successful. But yeah, as you say, people will be not just in the UK, but around the world.
Can we make mention of these statements? I mean, obviously, a balance has to be struck here to protect His Majesty's right to privacy, what is a